Hello, classmates and ma'am. My name is Jaren, and I will be reporting types of evaluation and setting evaluation goals from the Module 7 guide of DevCom 208. So first, let's start with evaluation. It is a reflection on what has been achieved, what has worked, and what has not, and to make recommendations to improve future efforts. So, this is a summative evaluation that will help answer questions for a specific program. And this is also to help demonstrate to possible partners and to determine whether your activity or program was effective or not. So let's proceed with the types of evaluation. So there are two types stated in the reference. First is the outcome evaluation, and second is the impact evaluation. So starting with outcome evaluation, it measures how well the intervention has met its objectives and what should be changed to improve future activities. So here it has steps on how an outcome evaluation should be conducted. So for this is for improvement of your future activities. So first is to determine the information the evaluation must provide. Second is to define the data to collect. Third is to decide on data collection methods. Fourth is to develop and pretest data collection instruments. And next is to collect data itself, then follow it up by processing it, then through analyzation to answer evaluation questions. Then, second to the last is to write an evaluation report, and the last would be to disseminate the content of your evaluation report. So, when conducting an outcome evaluation, it is not all um, of pros. It also has limitations and constraints like limited funds, limited staff time or expertise of the personnel, length of time allotted to the intervention and evaluation, the restrictions on hiring consultants or contractors to conduct the evaluation, uh, and then the policies that limit the program's ability to collect information from the public, and the difficulty in defining or establishing consensus on objectives. So, uh, next is the difficulty in isolating the effects of intervention from other influences. And the last is perception by funders or your partners or others involved in the program that evaluations are not valuable. So that's the limitations and constraints of outcome evaluation. So on impact evaluation, this is the other type from the types of evaluation stated. It connects behavior changed to health or social outcomes. So an impact evaluation should be able to answer the question on did the people who adopted actions or behaviors experience, for example, in a tuberculosis situation, did the people who adopted new actions or behavior experience improved health and well-being related to their TB status? So, impact evaluations are not often used by planners of activities like the social mobilization. However, because this is mostly of the high cost, so involving in carrying them out successfully. However, evaluators can select few programmatic objectives to measure. So they're to determine changes and rates, or whether there are increases, decreases, and something like that. So proceeding to setting evaluation goals. To be able to set evaluation goals, first you have to determine who wants to learn from the evaluation. So I have summarized some bullets here. So this will be primarily with involve your stakeholders or those who have a direct interest with your program. So other interested parties, inviting broader community is a purpose for suggestions and participation. So the various levels of the health system, for example, with tuberculosis, people from municipal, district, regional, national, and governments and donors should also be invited so that they can suggest uh, goals or broaden your view on your evaluation. So next would be there maybe also people or organizations that are interested in learning the evaluation, although they may not have been directly involved in the process. So see the potential in external perspective. So that's where the other orgs come in. And then lastly is a potential future partners that might also be invited to participate to provide external perspective and to further their understanding of the approach used in its result. However, those who are interested in learning from the evaluation, uh, they may not have been directly involved. So the last would be the ones who really want to further understand the approach. Next is the list of individuals and organizations interested in participating in the evaluation. So um, going back, remember that they do not need to be physically present during the process, but they can contribute to their perspective in the form of questions or their thoughts and other things that they have learned about. So here there is a note that you do not have to promise or incorporate all their suggestions or questions into the evaluation. So because going back to the limitations, it can affect your resources or your time allotted for achieving the goal of the evaluation. So after deciding who or determining who should be involved, this will then proceed to determine what they want to learn from the evaluation. So it is important to determine which aspects of the outcome evaluation plan best fit with the program's priorities. So it is rare for a program to have adequate resources to evaluate all of the activities. So here are some sample questions or guide questions that could help. So starting with what are the objectives? So what should the members of the intended group think, feel, or do as a result of the activities in contrast of what they thought, felt, or did before? So second is how is change expected to occur? So here you will measure on will it be slow or fast? What measurable intermediate outcomes? What steps? Uh, what measures toward the behavior that you want to achieve or change of behavior? So what are likely to take place before the behavior change can occur? Next sample question is how long will the intervention last? So what kind of changes in attitude, awareness, behavior, or policy can be expected in the allotted time? So here sometimes when the outcomes are measured, activities or interventions will not have been in place long enough for objectives to have been met. So yeah, proceeding to the last guide question is which outcome evaluation methods can capture the scope of the change that is likely to have occurred. So when sample sizes are small, for example, with the tuberculosis context, usually for due to funding constraints or your resource. For example, the evaluation is said to lack statistical power and only fairly large changes will be statistically significant. So the program should be able to have a consultation from an expert to make sure, or expert or qualified person to make sure that the sample size is adequate to measure what change. So going back in uh, evaluation, let us recap what we have discussed. So we have types of evaluation. The outcome evaluation measures how well the intervention has met its objectives and the its limitations, its steps, and the second type of evaluation, which is impact evaluation, which connects behavior change to health or social outcomes. Then the setting of evaluation goals. First is to determine who wants to learn from the evaluation, and then second is to determine what they want to learn from the evaluation. So who wants to what they want. So, and then the sample questions, which are what the objectives, how is change expected to occur, how long will the intervention last, and which outcome evaluation methods can capture the scope of the change that is likely to have occurred. So these can guide a more specific outcome. Thank you for listening to my report. And my reference is from the World Health Organization, Advocacy, Communication, and Social Mobilization, or the ACSM, for tuberculosis control. Thank you.